You're listening to the PRO Media Network, the next level in entertainment.
Go Tigers, 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 go Tigers.
You're now listening to Tuff Tiger Talk with Big Q and the guys on the Pro Media Network.
What's up, fam? What's going on? You're now rocking with Tuff Tiger Talk on the PRO Media Network. You know what it is, it's Big Q. Man, we talking Tuff Tiger Talk, number 5th ranked team in the nation, baby. We gotta do this thing, man. We gotta show them we ain't nothing to mess with. Tuff Tiger Talking live, and we're in effect. Got a special guest on the show today. We'd like to say what's up to our boy in the show today. What's going on? Mazzi Five in the building. What's up, fam?
That's it. I'm here, live in living color. LSU diehard.
That's right. And Five, most of the fam probably remember Five from his early days with the sports coma when we covered LSU football, Pelicans, Saints, all in the same show, but they became, ultimately, the show took on its own identity, and that's where we are with it. But welcome to this installation of Tuff Tiger Talk family today, and we doing it big, man. This is a big one there, Ray. It's a big one in there, Five. We got to do it up. And I'm telling you, man, Tuff Tiger Talk, we covered a lot of really good matchups, man. We talked about the Utah State. You wasn't on that one, Five, but I know you probably wanted to chime in some thoughts on the Utah State. But in this episode, we'll recap some of that. What up, Jason?
Yeah.
Jason in the building. Go Tigers to your baby. You know, hard worker, PRO Media Network fam. And the fact, and like I said, man, we got Mazzi Five on the line, one of the guys. And he's a Tiger diehard to the core, man. You cut the man, he bleed purple and gold, no doubt about it, baby. And we here to talk about it. Five, we got Florida, man, number 7. Well, number 5, what is it? Number 7? Number 7 in the nation.
Number 7. Yeah.
6-0, 3-0 in conference play, coming into Death Valley against the number 5 ranked LSU Tigers. Tonight, night game is gonna be off the chain. Perhaps a little payback from last year's loss against Florida in the swamp. Come on, talk to me, baby. What you think about this game?
Well, it'll absolutely be a test. Coming into this game, LSU has all the hype around them. Obviously, Joe Burrow is a Heisman hopeful. We haven't had that in a very, very long time, not even remotely close to that. And, it's a huge stage, obviously one of the biggest in college football, playing in Death Valley, night game, 7 o'clock. But on the flip side, as you and most of the PRO media fan base probably already knows, we just don't lose those games, 7 o'clock games. Traditionally, you go back, to the new Tigers, the AD Tigers, they were BC when we were from 1956 to maybe 2001. That was our dark days.
Right.
And then the AD Tigers, basically from the Nick Saban era on, we just don't lose those games. 7 o'clock, that's our territory, our dominion, Tiger Stadium, and I think that that's gonna hold up true tonight. I think Burrow's gonna have an incredibly big game against from what I could tell, a Florida Gators team. Although they're 6-0, has yet to really find its own identity. I think LSU knows who they are. I think that they have all bought in to this high fly, high octane, high powered offense. And I'm looking for the Justin Jefferson and Joe Burrow connection to be, just as prolific as it's been all season. And if we can get we can play within 50% of what the defensive game we played, against Utah State last week. Mm-hmm. This is an absolute thumbs up knockout win for the Tigers. Go Tigers.
This is the thing, man. I agree wholeheartedly with everything you said. That was excellent analysis. The excellent thing about this offense is the fact that since this passing game coordinator has come over from the Saints, and he's added that extra diverse mindset to Ernst Sminger's offense, it's turned into I don't think too many diehard purple and gold Tigers out there understood exactly what that mean to have him in here. I mean, look at the statistics, man. It's undeniable. Right now, the LSU is averaging 416 yards passing. I mean, passing. The averaging passing 416 yards a game. That's second in the country. Traditionally, it's always been a good rushing team. 155. That's 75th. But points per game. This is unbridled. This is unheard of. They're averaging 54.6 points a game. That's first in the nation. I mean, that's absolutely insane the way everything shifted up under Joe Burrow. Now, many people knew Joe Burrow was good coming out of Ohio State last year, and Ed Orgeron, got to give Coach O credit for finding this dude and installing him in the system, because they didn't know who they was going to run with, but they went with the more of the accomplished quarterbacks. But he has taken this offense in a place that I don't think very few people knew that they would go. What's your thoughts on that, man?
Well, I mean, credit to as you said, Coach O and definitely Joe Burrow. But I think the biggest difference between last year and this year, obviously, is the play and the connection that Joe Burrow has made with Justin Jefferson. With 30 receptions, 547 yards, 7 touchdowns, average 18.2 yards per catch. I mean, that is, that's unbelievable. Only, 6 weeks into 6 games into the schedule. Unbelievable. So he's definitely on pace to have a 1,000-yard season this year. And I mean, it really helps when you got somebody to throw to, a 6'3", 192-pound, receiver, which, for an 18, 19-year-old kid that's pretty stout.
That is.
And I just don't see anything really stopping him. Barring injury, obviously, knock on wood, if I could find some, but pause. But I don't see anything stopping him. I don't see anything that could stop that connection. And let's not get it. Let's also keep in mind that we can run the ball. I mean, it just so happens that with Joe Burrow putting up 3 and 400-yard passing games, the 100-yard rushing effort that we put up, it kind of gets hidden. I can remember when we put up 150, 160 yards rushing, that was the talk of the town, because that was like our thing. That was all we had. And long gone are the days when our offense was dazed, dazzled, and confused, and has to look to the big, gigantic cue calls on the sideline for a play. You remember that, the big cue calls?
That's right.
The Mad Hatter used to have?
That's right.
Yeah, we don't have to do that anymore. And not only have we evolved from that, but we got a quarterback in Joe Burrow who I believe is the best in the nation. And the reason I say that is, unlike Jalen Hurts and even Tua to a degree, which I think Tua does a lot better job than obviously Jalen Hurts does, he doesn't look to run the ball. He's doing everything with his arm. And, that's just not that's just something that we just don't see out of many collegiate players. And keep in mind, which we're starting SEC play now, but he plays in the Southeastern Conference, arguably the best conference in football, in my opinion. Even if you don't have that same opinion, and you might be a Clemson fan or you might be an Oklahoma fan, you still got to put the SEC in the top 3 as far as divisions in college football. So if you're capable of doing what Joe Burrow has been able to do in the SEC, with his arm at the quarterback position, I don't see how you can look at Tua or Jalen Hurts as a better quarterback. But because of the hype and mantra around both the Oklahoma program as well as the Alabama program, I think that for Joe Burrow to be respected, he has to win this game, and obviously he has to, for the first time in 9 years, slay the Alabama Dragon. I think if he could do those 2 things, he'll be a shoo-in for the odds.
Slay the Alabama Dragon. That's what I'm talking about, bro. We got to get that done, man. We haven't beaten Alabama in some time, and if anything, big ups to Joe Brady and the 30-year-old passing game coordinator that came over from the Saints to help Ernstmaker turn this offense around. I mean, basically, they've now taken a lot. If you watch the game, a lot of the offense is coming out of the snap. The production, that was an interesting chart that was online that I was looking at this morning that showed how the offense is moving more into a from under the snap center type situation to a shotgun snap, which is helping the ball get out, is keeping those guys from getting to the quarterback fast, allowing him to have extra time to be able to go through repetitions and progressions to find where he needs to go with the football. And you have to, if anything, is a big indication of how this pass offense and the great, beautiful stats that you put out for Joe Burrow is unbelievable. Nobody thought Joe Burrow would be considered a Heisman Trophy candidate in a season. Right now, I mean, it's absolutely insane right now. This kid has 1,864 yards with 22 touchdowns on a 216.2 efficiency rating. That's unbelievable. His QBR rating right now, 5 is 91.0. This is this is unbelievable.
I was going to bring that up. Yeah. His QBR at 91, man. Look, that's such an impressive stat. I want people to understand that's not a passer rating where you can go over 100. The QBR is only based on 0 to 100.
Right.
So at 91, and that's for people that don't quite understand what the QBR is. When you look at QBR as opposed to passer rating,
right?
A lot of people think that that's the same number. And although 91 is a plausible passer rating, obviously we've seen passer rating 120, 130, 140%.
Right.
On a higher end. This isn't that. QBR is a much more detailed stat. And, when you look at that in comparison to Kyle Trask, was he at like 68, 70, 69 and up in that area? So, the Trask versus Burrow game, which is what we're going to see tonight,
mm-hmm.
I definitely think Burrow's going to come out on the on the winning end of that. I'm going to go with Joe Burrow, all the way over Kyle Trask.
Okay. Yeah, it's... Man, I mean, like I said, man, I've been waiting for some meaningful football from LSU. The closest that we actually got to was the Texas game, which was a pretty good game, to be honest with you. But
I don't think our defense was as ready as they are now.
Oh yeah, there's no doubt about it. The defense now is kicking in. Now we, looking at some of the statistics, that we've been hitting you with the statistics and the fact that LSU, man, at one point of the season they were high as 4th ranked. Eventually they just dropped because others. I think they were on a bye week, and other teams kind of surpassed them, and they just kind of pushed LSU down. But 7th ranked Florida the LSU kicks off that SEC portion of their schedule. And it'll be interesting to get down and see where this will go. LSU 54.6 points per game, holding your butt to 19.1. That's really respectable. With 571 total yards a game, 416 of it through the air, 155 of it flat on the ground, and allowing 288 yards per game, 206 of it through the air, holding you to 81 yards rushing on the ground. Florida, on the other hand, averaging 32 points a game, holding you to a stingy less than 10 points a game. Actually, it's 9.5. Total yards, 424.3, 284.5 through the air, 140 on the ground. They allow defensively 276.3 yards per game, 183 of it through the air, and 93 of it on the ground. They're coming off that win over Auburn last week, 24-13. Of course, the Tigers blew out Utah State, the Aggies, 42-16 in Death Valley. So a lot of stuff going on. A lot of people picking LSU to win this game, and rightfully so. You unless you are a Florida Gator fan, you have to be absolutely an absolute moron to pick against LSU with all of the venomous hate that they have for Florida after that loss last year in the swamp. And now we have you down in Death Valley. We're going to take care of business. This is a better team than what they were last year, and they're a deeper team than what they were last year. And I think LSU gets it done. And a lot of people expecting it to be a close game because of the Gators' pass rush. They're very fast up front. And they are. Todd Gratham is a really excellent defensive coordinator. He loves putting pressure on opposing offenses. But the way LSU's designed, they should be able to compensate for the Florida pass rush. They have a running game and a scrambling quarterback that can make things happen. Burrow drew 5 touchdowns last week and ran for 1. He was responsible for 6 touchdowns. So when he needs to get out of trouble, Joey Burrow can scramble and make things happen. He's not just a statue back there. But this is an interesting matchup with so many different random overlays to it, Ray. I mean, Five, what you think about that, man? I mean, it's just it's a lot going on there.
Well, here's my take on that. Okay, first of all, I want to just comment on the fact that we live in a social media era, and we live in this popularity and hype train era, and I do not understand why fans and critics alike are still not respecting. I still don't believe LSU is getting the respect that they deserve. I don't know if it's because I don't get it, because traditionally the last 15 years we've been a winning program. Even though, we've had 2 national title appearances. We've won one of those. Obviously, we won 2 of those. But one, I believe we split with USC, which was Saban's one in 04, 05.
Right.
And obviously we won one with Nick Saban. But we've had, we've been up 3 times in the last 20 years. So I don't understand how almost 20 years worth of winning is not amounting to respect. But this will not only be a definitive game to earn the respect of the national media and gain more of a national fan base for LSU, but especially for Coach O, who I believe many people still don't look at or respect as a coach that can play on this level. I think that a lot of people are looking. They look to LSU's 5-0 record as playing subpar teams. I think that a lot of people they believe that the Texas secondary got carved up by Joe Burrow because they weren't there. And I just don't like the respect that we get as a whole. I tell you one thing, though, Vegas obviously understands and knows what's going on and respects us, because I think the most current line I had told was like 13.5. And they're looking for it to be a fairly high scoring affair with an over-under of 54.5 points. And those people are not idiots. Those people set those lines, and they made a lot of money being able to predict the outcomes of those games. So, I'm just being honest. So I look at that line, and when I look at that line, I understand that that is not misplaced. I understand that the hype that's on this LSU team, surrounding this LSU team, is not misplaced or not misguided, because all the numbers are there, despite what people may say about those numbers or believe that those numbers are only there because they played subpar opponents. Mm-hmm. I think that a lot of people are not taking into account that this Utah State team that was only held 6 points last week was, again, I can't touch on it enough, the number 2 team in all of FBS football in points per game a year ago. So this is not a poo-putt team that's totally incapable of putting up points. Are they Alabama? No. Are they shitty? Are they even Florida? No. But they're not. They're definitely not Kent State. They're definitely not Itawamba Junior College. That's not who they played. Mm-hmm. So we have to wrap our minds around the fact that LSU is here, and I think that on a national level or a national scale, all eyes will be on them tonight. I believe the game starts at 7 o'clock. Death Valley. It's a big stage, big game, and I think we have to ice Florida up. If we can ice Florida up and to beat them definitively, mm-hmm. then I think Sunday evening when the new numbers come out, we'll leapfrog over Ohio State or one of the ones that I believe shouldn't be in front of us, and we'll be set at number 3 or 4 after we definitively beat them. And I think that Joe Burrow will etch his name in officially. He'll drop his ballot into that Heisman race. All
right. Well, that sounds good to me, Mazzi. We got Mazzi Five on the show, LSU Pro, speaking about the inside information dealing with what we need to do to get the game. And over Florida. Breaking a lot of good stuff down. Appreciate it, Mazzi. Before we move on in our analysis to break down the rest of the game and give you some more commentary, let's play some Coach Ogeron right here. This is Coach O in his final press conference heading into the Florida game. Here's Coach O.
Practice. I'm very energized. The defense had a phenomenal practice yesterday, rushing the passer. And it's exciting to watch them play on Saturday night. I know our guys are ready to play. I know it's going to be a tough task ahead. It's going to be a great night at Tiger Stadium. It's all mental from now to Saturday night, 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. And I know our guys are going to be ready to play. Any questions?
You talked about Monday, could be a little chippy heading into the game.
Yeah.
You still emphasizing that?
Yeah, our coach is going to be out there before the game starts. We don't want nothing before the game. Obviously, this is a heated rivalry, but we want to play the game when the ball is snapped to the whistle. And want it to be a clean game, but it won't be a hard-fought game.
Is Cordell going to be available for
So,
will Cordell Plotky?
yeah, I think so. I think he's going to be available. How much he's going to play, I don't know.
How was it able to your status able to change so quickly when Monday you were not very sure he was going to be available?
The type of injury he has, sometimes some kids heal fast and other kids don't. So he just healed a little bit quicker than we thought he would.
What do you think that defensive line starting rotation will be right now with Rashard and Bland?
Yeah, we'll see. Those guys look like they can play. It's still, a little bit more than 48 hours to game time, so we got a lot of time to. I do believe that Neil will start and Braden will start. I do believe both of those guys. Rashard is more ready to play than Glenn. I don't know if Glenn is going to play, but if he's ready to play, we'll let him play.
You talked last week about Ed Ingram needing to catch up on some things in pass protection. Are you happy with how he's advanced?
Yeah, he's fine. We're going to start Adrian, but Ed's going to be right behind him and play. And if we need help at any tackle spots, Adrian can go out and help the tackle spots.
Adrian will start at left. This is all at left guard.
What was that?
Is this all at left guard? With
Adrian McGee will start at left guard, and Ed will be behind. Yes.
What is the thing that concerns you most about this Florida offense?
Obviously watching the tape. The last couple of years they ran the football. I said it on Monday, and we can't let them run the football. We got to be physical. We got to tackle. Their back is an excellent back, and is an excellent play caller, trick plays, play action pass, getting balls thrown over our heads on wheel routes and quarterback throwbacks, and getting us off balance. Just be able to keep the ball in front and make plays.
Coach O's thoughts, man. Coach O's thoughts on the game. And, man, I tell you what, dealing with LSU, man, they got their hands cut out for them in this one, man. Florida's going to come ready to play. I think Florida is a pretty good team, but the LSU Tigers, like Mazzi Five, got Mazzi Five on the show breaking down LSU Pro. Man, I tell you what, man. Coach was talking about last year's performance, how they were getting toasted by Florida, allowing first downs to happen, and they had the Florida game last year. Ultimately, they let it slip through their fingers. This year, I don't think so much. 2 games LSU needed to win last year, and they would have been in the national conversation for a championship. No doubt about it. If they had handled business against Florida and beat Texas A&M at the end of the year, they would have been playing for a national championship. We were that close last year to a national championship, and were absolutely cheated out of the Texas A&M game. I was so upset about how the referees, those calls toward the end of that game, several calls were totally ridiculous and stupid calls. But anyway, that was last year. This is current times, and LSU has every opportunity to come back and whoop on this team right here and get some revenge. Now, going into some of the breakdown, the game presents a compelling test for the Tigers' new and up-tempo spread offense. LSU averages a SAC high 471 yards and 54.6 points. Only one of its previous opponents, Texas, has been ranked this season. LSU has played football for 126 years, and the offense has never looked like this. Never.
Nope. Never.
Coach O says he's talked of transforming the Tigers' attack since taking over in 2016. They begun passing more last season, but Burrow said losses at Florida when they lost 27-19 and 29-0 against Alabama raised the urgency to move toward a more cutting-edge attack. Now running backs are likely to catch short passes out of the backfield as a extended handoff. Burrow routinely has 4 receivers targeted at the line of scrimmage, has total a bunch of options, and you can see it in the play of guys like Jamal Chase and Terrace Mathis. So you have a lot of stuff going on. It helped LSU had a tall, athletic, accurate passer with tons of experience. He spent 3 years at Ohio State, Joey Burrow, before moving as an LSU graduate transfer in 2018. His leadership, advanced understanding of football schemes, and college defensive coordinator's son made him the ideal candidate for this transformation. And Burrow was quoted as saying, quote, "They trust me enough to put my ideas in the game plan," end quote. He also said, quote, "They trust me enough to make checks at the line, so I kind of evolved into a line of scrimmage quarterback," end quote. How about that? Now, for historically speaking, Burrow sees Florida as LSU's chief rival, even though Tigers annually play for the Golden Boot with Arkansas, meet Mississippi in the Magnolia Bowl, and have numerous high-stake encounters with Alabama. And Burrow was quoted saying, "I don't like them very much." Now, outside linebacker Clavion Chasen questioned Florida's character, mentioned videos he's seen on social media of their guys punching our guys after plays, which is I've seen several of those plays, and that's not really good football. Now, the defensive reinforcements, the Gators are expected to be at full strength on defense. LSU's health appears to be improving at that side of the ball as well. Florida defensive end Jabari Zanunga is scheduled to return after missing the last 3 games with a sprained left ankle. Now, he suited up last week but didn't play against Auburn. Mullins said they preferred to give him another week to heal. The senior has 18.5 sacks in 39 games. Now, LSU expects to have defensive lineman Rashard Matthews and pass rushing linebacker Michael Divinity back after Chason returned last week. So we're getting some key components on the LSU Tigers defensive line. Rashard Lawrence is a beast. Michael Divinity, you already know what time it is. Now, the Gators quarterback Kyle Trask could be affected by the left knee injury that he played through last weekend. Now, Orgeron said he remains focused on containing the Gators' ground game, led by Perrine, who rushed for 327 yards and 4 touchdowns and had an 88-yard against Auburn last year when he just took the hell off. Now, this is high-stakes poker in a major capacity, Ray. I went through all those statistics, Five, man. And Florida, right now, they're sitting at the top of the SEC East. They are 6-0, 3-0 in conference play. LSU is behind Bama on the west side, 5-0, 1-0 in conference play. Anything to add on top of that, my friend?
Well, I gotta agree with Joey B on that. I think Florida's such a big game for us every year because it sets the pace, it sets the tone for what the rest of the season is going to be. Because you got to keep in mind, I think that we lose focus on the fact that these are still kids, rather big and strong 300-pound kids that run 4.3 40s, but still kids nonetheless. So I think with this team, I think with any team at this level, LSU, Alabama, Auburn, Florida, Ohio State, Clemson, you name it, I think that with these teams, they have such expectations, and I think that they really feel it's either championship or bust, or at least now playoffs or bust to fight for the championship. So when we come out and play Florida every year, October, and I mean it's right at my birthday, so I keep track of it. I know it. That pretty much announces the beginning of the real football schedule for everybody. And that's when we, begin playing the meat of our meaningful schedule that's going to determine how far we go into, the rest of the season. Obviously, determines whether or not we win the West. And we play for the SEC championship in Atlanta in December. So I think that this game kind of sets the tone for everything else. If we beat Florida and put that win under our belt, then we know, traditionally speaking, our next big tough game is going to be Alabama. Then, we wrap the year up every year, and then you're playing Texas A&M, since they've joined the SEC. So we know we got 3 big games, and Auburn comes in sometime, but Arkansas is traditionally a game that we don't worry about. I think the best Arkansas game I ever saw was, 2007, when they played like 3 or 4 overtimes. Outside of that, we don't really have big games against Arkansas. Obviously, the rest of the conference, Missouri, Kentucky, Vandy, those games mean nothing. So I think that this Florida game every year is a game that we have to win because it's just the pace and it's just the trend for how these kids actually evaluate the rest of the season and look at it from a mental standpoint. You got to realize you beat Florida tonight. You're 6-0. You're in the top 5, and you understand that a lot of these kids have to understand that all they got to do now is beat Alabama to go and play for a national title or to have a chance at playing for a national title with the playoff system. So if these kids beat Florida, then they circle a calendar, the date on the calendar to go and face Alabama, and then they know, it's pretty much a shoe-in for a national title game. This is such a high-stakes game now because you got another dynamic of, we've got a chance, we've got a Heisman hopeful on our team. And if he can beat Florida and he can beat Alabama, I think that he has a real good shot, a real good chance of winning that Heisman. So it's actually a two-headed beast this year. And I think that these kids feed off that. You were an 18, 19-year-old kid before. It's either win or nothing. Nobody wants the second or third place. Although, respectively, a bowl game is a bowl game. It does, well for recruiting and well for the school. And to make a point on last year, I think that they lost last year to Florida, not so much because they couldn't beat Florida. And, it was a rough game, and they did get cheated in my opinion, as you reflect on the A&M game. But, opening last season and playing the Hurricanes, I don't think that anybody was looking for anything more than an 8-win or 9-win season, 7-win season out of this team last year, 6-win season last year, because it was Coach O's first official year. They were in a rebuilding phase, and I don't think that they looked, for anything. But when the magic began happening last year, I think that these kids were just riding a high, and I think that high, that bubble got burst playing Florida, who was, already slated to be, a contender, definitely a better team than LSU last year. I think that they had their sights set on being a better team than LSU last year. So they had all the momentum on their side, and I think that it was too big of a stage for LSU. Although they had a really good season last year, and they covered a lot of ground last year. That was the year that Joey B and Coach Burrow and that staff believed that they were only, a few tweaks away from being a national title contender. And I think when they got the new offensive coordinator in, as you mentioned, he's 30, 31 years old.
30 years old.
30 years old, so he can relate. He can relate more to a 20-year-old Joe Burrow than a 45 or 50-year-old coach trying to explain to Joey B, you need to do this, that, and the other. I think that it comes across because it's almost like a big brother relationship, if that makes sense to you. That
makes plenty of sense. I think that's absolutely true.
Right. I think that another thing that helps the team is we have veteran leadership. I can remember, especially in the Les Miles era, with the exception of Jordan Jefferson, he get a quarterback and, he's got to control every aspect of the game, and that's what Les Miles does. And his quarterbacks are thrown into the ring of fire almost immediately. And I understand it's a different game from the pro game where you can't really sit back because obviously you're trying to achieve that pro status. But I think that it really helps that Joey sat on that bench and rode that pine, 3 years in Ohio State before he actually came and transferred over here. So you have, what amounts to be a seasoned veteran. Even look at Drew Brees. Drew Brees wasn't the Drew Brees we know at San Diego. Although he was a really good quarterback, more than capable, he put up some good numbers. But it wasn't until he got to the Saints, and he had those 4 or 5 seasons under his belt when he understood what that league was all about. And I think that with Joey Burrow, this is the same thing. This guy has been playing this game on this level from Ohio State to LSU, all really good teams. You go from Big Ten out to SEC, right? And I think that he understands what the collegiate game is. I think that he's finally mastered ultra instinct on the collegiate level. And I think that he takes that experience and he takes that. Joey B's pretty old for a college quarterback. Some of these guys, with the exception of Millie Zed and Hurts, and we obviously understand why he stayed an extra year is because he lost his job at Tua. I think that he brings that experience to the table. He doesn't have a chip on his shoulder. He doesn't have anything to prove. Most guys talking about Hurts. when you stay in that long, it's because either you couldn't get a starting job or you lost your starting job and had to transfer out. Like you look at Cam Newton, when he was down at Tim Tebow over in Florida, he had to transfer out. He won a JUCO national title before transferring back over to Auburn. So he played like he had a chip on his shoulder, and there was a lot of media hype around him because, I'm gonna just be honest with you, from an ethnicity background, when you look at the black quarterback or the younger quarterback, the younger black quarterbacks, a lot of them coming from poverty. A lot of them, they get into the social media. They get the social media drive and hype behind them, and that kind of leads or drives the hype behind them on a national scale because they're so visible. When you look at a quarterback like Joey B, he's not visible. He doesn't have this larger than life social media presence, and he doesn't have all of that. What he has is a very detailed set of intangible skills, and he's honed those skills into his own situation and made LSU his situation, and they kind of developed a team around him, along with his 6'3", 4'4", 40 weapon in Justin Jefferson. I mean, he's made this into his own situation. And with that leadership, because that's what it translates to, he can take these young guys and say, hey, listen, this is what it's going to take for us to win. This is where you need to be. This is what has to happen. And that kind of leadership, that kind of prowess, you just can't buy that. You can't teach that. That only comes with experience. So, I mean, I guess one man's, trash is another man's treasure, as they say. So, I mean, I'm ecstatic with his play, and I think that he will go out with a bang. And I think that this team will rally around him, and I think that this team understands where they are and they have a legit opportunity to play in January.
This is interesting, man. Most certainly. We are speaking with Mazzi Five, LSU contributor, and LSU Purple and Gold Pro. Getting toward the end of our live stream, family. Quickly, Mazzi, give me your prediction for the LSU Florida game.
You got me on tape, so I guess I gotta make a pretty good prediction because you can always pull a tape and say you were dead wrong. So
that's right.
I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna look for a really strong defensive outing for LSU. I think that Florida has had an excessive issue with fumbles last week. I think that LSU is going to pay attention to that. I think we're going to send a lot of different looks, especially a lot of blitz straight up the gut, which Trash had problems with last week. I'm looking for the defense to force a couple fumbles, maybe even get a touchdown out of it. I'm going to say 35-17, go Tigers.
All right, 35-17. I like that one. I'm going to say 28-24 LSU Tigers. Thank y'all for joining in.
HomeBistro.com. Freshly prepared, home-delivered, restaurant-quality gourmet meals delivered straight to your home. Choose from over 50-plus gourmet meal options cooked by world-class chefs and delivered frozen, ready to eat within minutes and no commitment. Welcome to the one-shop gourmet food delivery, specialized affordable options to eat right and feel great. 100% satisfaction guaranteed. Every ingredient is handpicked to the highest standard. And why you should buy from HomeBistro.com? Restaurant quality, made with natural ingredients, delivered right to your door. Overnight shopping is available. Diabetic, paleo, heart health, and vegetarian options to eat. Doing business since 1999. Courteous, knowledgeable, and professional support. Complete PCI compliant SSL security ordering, and great meals. Choose from some of my favorite dishes: the Mediterranean chicken with orange honey sauce, the charbroiled chicken romesco, or the grilled chicken breast with sweet and spicy vegetables. No matter what you choose, you can't lose with HomeBistro.com. Eat great, feel good, and save some money with HomeBistro.com. Hit the link in the description section below for more information.
I'm a Saints and Pelicans fan, so the only podcast I can get my fix is The Sports Coma with Big Q. The guy's intense, funny, and they always keep it real.
Check out The Sports Coma with Big Q and the guys. TheWhoThatDaily.com. That's right, TheWhoThatDaily.com. EmbracePetInsurance.com, your one-stop shop for everything New Orleans Saints, New Orleans Pelicans, LSU Tigers, and even the top flight boxing news. So if you're a Who Dat and you're looking for a place to stay up on your team, the WhoDatDaily.com is your site. The WhoDatDaily.com for the sport Who Dat in all of us. Embrace Pet Insurance is more than just pet insurance. Embrace Pet Insurance promises to provide genuine support and certainty when your pet needs it the most. With personalized accident and illness policies, compassionate customer care, 24/7 access to veterinary professionals, flexible wellness plans, timely claims processing, and online customer portals, their values is what makes them Embrace. So, when selecting a pet insurance company as a partner in your pet's care, you deserve a company that has your pet's best interests at heart. Get top-rated and reviewed coverage for your pet today. Up to 90% back on bills at any vet, total protection, pet insurance and wellness, and dependable claims payments. Get the top-rated and reviewed coverage for your pet today. Go to EmbracePetInsurance.com. That's EmbracePetInsurance.com. Check the link in the description section below.
Are you a boxing fan? Check out Ring Kings Boxing only on the PRO Media Network.